for Nick. Greg?
So Nick, I guess we got to start out with the negative, but talk about Saturday night and the struggles. What were they?
It was a lot of beating ourselves. They're a good team, but I'd say a majority of the time we beat ourselves, and then instead of them beating us.
How so? Can you explain maybe what you didn't do that you, especially the first drive, that you did well there?
Yeah, first drive was well, but it's kind of like what Traylon was saying. It's the little things like communication piece. Obviously everybody's gonna point out the snaps, but it wasn't just snaps. That was the bad part. It was a lot of the little pieces that went along with that kind of derailed us a little bit.
First time you face a three-man front, just talk about some of the differences there that you don't normally encounter.
Yeah, it's especially games. The last few games, obviously everybody's been four down front, but we go against an on front every day at practice, so they're kind of similar to our defense. So a lot of it was kind of easy for us to pick apart and kind of
From practice,
yes.
but not the game.
Yeah.
I guess Kansas State's a three-man front too.
Exactly.
So.
We'll be facing I'd say almost same exact defense this week.
You mentioned the snaps. Did you have to give words of encouragement to Brandon, try to keep
you gotta tell him he's cooled down and everything, but he's the guy who's gonna come back and fight. There's never giving up, or he's always gonna fight back, and I think he'll show it this week.
You mentioned the snaps. What was said now into this new week on Monday? How can you, as collectively as a group, avoid that happening again? What was even the conversations during the game?
It's just kind of just getting more snaps, getting used to it. I think they're gonna try different stuff this week, snapping, but it's kind of just for him. It's just keep getting back to routine, and especially us, like being around him, you gotta build him up instead of tear him down. Because if he gets you tear him down, nothing gets good from that. So it's kind of.
We were talking a lot about the self-inflicted wounds from Saturday. How frustrating is that to start? How much more frustrating does it become throughout the game as they compound and you're in what you consider a winnable game? And what do you say afterward to say, okay, let's not do this again?
Yeah, it's very frustrating because, like you said, the first drive we go down, we score is easy. And it's kind of going along the lines of, like I said, beating ourselves. It's where we're one of the best teams in the country, one of the best offenses in the country, and when we have those self-inflicted wounds, it's kind of like this shouldn't be happening. We should be dominating, and when that doesn't happen, that's the frustrating point to where you pointed out. But now it's after going back and watching film, we're able to critique those little things that happen, and especially kind of going against the same defense this week, we'll be able to handle that and kind of build upon that and do better, so we don't have those frustrating moments.
Were there any instances on those high snaps when you looked at the tape and you said, if the timing would have been right, we had this. This was blocked perfectly, or we had big plays? Were there some of those where the timing was just a little bit off?
Yeah, I don't know about timing, but it's literally like the little things I said. It's the one little thing, one little block, one little tweak, one little timing, like you said, that goes from a 3-yard loss to a touchdown, or a 3-yard loss to a 6-yard gain. It's one little micro thing that we can fix that'll help us.
So you saw some of those things and you're like, wow.
You can see it. It's whenever we're beating ourselves, it's always just like somebody not doing their job. It's just like one little thing that can be fixed and that can make us do better the next time.
As a group, especially having multiple veteran leaders and things like that now that have been through the war, Coach Brown, Green mentioned after the game that there was no snap issues throughout the week, that despite Brandon's hand issue wasn't a concern going into the game. How do you avoid something that isn't a problem for 5-6 days, then all of a sudden creeps up and then just becomes a huge issue through the game? That has to be the most frustrating part.
Yeah, no, it's you can't, like, you never expect things like, oh, this is going to happen. You just have to kind of be prepared. So that's why, for instance, like they'll do like wet ball snaps. Like you never know, it might rain. You never know, rain delays, mess up snaps. But they kind of you're never prepared for that kind of stuff. But that's when Brandon hurt his hand, Landon came in, we scored. It was next man up kind of mentality and just staying ready. So because you never know what's going to happen.
Is it heartening when you say it's just little things, minor tweaks, that it's just little stuff that's I don't know if it's easy to fix, but manageable to fix, rather than just something big you're like, well, we're just going to have to live with it.
Exactly.
These are things you don't have to live with.
Yeah, it's better to have the little things than the big things, I'd say. But like I said, when we watch film, it's always like I said, us beating ourselves instead of them beating us. Because don't get me wrong, they're a good team and they make plays, but I'd say majority of the time it was us beating ourselves than them beating us.
After watching the tape, what's kind of the mood? Is it anger, disappointment, frustration? What would you say? How would you characterize it?
I'd say it was a disappointing loss because we expected to win that game. We should have won that game, but the fact is we have to go back, work, and kind of we get another chance this week for another big team, and then at home and kind of build our fan base back up because I know they're down right now, but we got to show them that we're going to continue to fight and show them.
I want to ask pretty much the same thing John did in a different way, maybe. Take me through the healing process after a loss. Especially there was so much emotion leading into that, whether it's frustration, anger, when it leaves you, what Sunday is like.
Yeah, well, let's start game day. We lost. That was the downfall. But then you come in Sunday, you get a lift in, you kind of watch film. As me personally, I watch it myself, look at the comments that are made, and kind of do my part and look at my part. And then we come in today, we have meetings as a collective. We go special teams as a unit and then position. And then once that's over, we kind of go and do the corrections from the game, like those little things I was saying. And once that's done, flip the script and we're on to Kansas State. So it's a quick turnaround. So that's a good thing and a bad thing.
Is it better that it's a night game and you're probably not running downtown and and drowning your sorrows, shall we say?
Yeah. I don't think any of our team drown our sorrows per se or anything, but I kind of think you just got to flip the script because that game's over and you're facing a equally or even better team this week. So it's kind of, you just got to let it keep rolling.
You mentioned look at your comments. You're talking about social media comments, things like that?
No.
You get on there?
No, I try to stay off. Even the good. Even when we win, you got to just keep eyes on
comments meaning
comments coaches.
I got you.
Coaches comments,
I got you.
yeah,
right.
not the
Crazy stuff.
yeah.
Going to Kansas State, we talked about it a little bit earlier with their run defense, and obviously that's what you guys like to do. So how do you avoid that being a problem? What do you know about what they like to do?
Like you said, they are a good rush defense, and I kind of this week I think handle those little things because I feel like they're going to try to exploit those things that Iowa State did, the twisting and kind of all the backer movements and filling in the box and dropping all that stuff. So I think that's what they'll watch, and we're going to watch the same thing like we did and fix those things to make it better for us. So
They're also one of the better teams in the country in tackles for loss and sacks. They really know how to get back to the backfield. What is it that, from what you've seen so far, that they're able to do to be that good, and what are you guys going to try and do to keep that from being?
From watching film so far, they're just good at doing their job. There's nothing crazy that there's good players, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing crazy that stands out. That they just do what they're told, do their job, and kind of get home and do their base games and that kind of stuff. So they kind of just, I say, stick to what they do, and if they get home, they get home. But yeah.
So if it's just kind of a plain Jane kind of bread and butter stuff, what do you do what can you do to counteract that?
I say, so in the run game, I'd say communication is one of the bigger pieces because especially in an odd front, you have a lot of different looks who people are working with and that kind of stuff. So I think starting off, communication is going to be our biggest piece this week because like I said, they are a pretty base front, but they do have a bunch of moving parts to where we need to be able to communicate and get the job done there.
Did they throw anything at you that you hadn't seen or weren't expecting defensively?
You're talking about Iowa State or Kansas State?
Iowa State.
I would say nothing crazy that we didn't know. Is kind of just like I said, those little things, and we had at halftime we kind of adjusted those a little bit to try to fix it, and I think that's what the same thing Kansas State will do as well, is try to exploit those things.
I think along those lines, Neil said last week that Iowa State's defense is pretty good about tweaking things in the second half and making it like a four-quarter game, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you experience out there as far as up front, linebackers, defensive line was different in the second half?
I'd say between the first and second half, I think it was just I felt like they flied more around in the second half. They were able to adjust to kind of what we did, but in the same way for us, we were able to know like how they would kind of adjust as well and try to tweak and get us in a good place.
Evaluate your play so far this year. What's it been like?
I think I've done pretty well. I think I've stand up to the job that's been given to me, and I think collectively we I think we've all done pretty well.
Used to starting yet? Is that still novel, or have you gotten used to it?
I'd say kind of getting used to it now. It's like I've said before, kind of getting into that role of backup to starter is always in my mind. I was like starter, like you have to go in as your starter because you never know what's gonna happen. Like Landon this year, going thrown in there, you just never know when your chance is. So I play like it every time.
Did you say anything, or did anybody say anything in any of the meetings today in terms of rally cry or anything that was said that's different than just normal language?
I wouldn't say a rally cry. I think it's just like getting to that point of like we were disappointed, but now it's kind of we have to be more together than far apart, especially now in this crucial time, this stretch of games. I think we got to be closer instead of pushing each other apart. So it's kind of just collectively all together. So nothing too crazy.
There was no like Tim Tebow
No.
type of speech.
No Tim Tebow. It was just Coach Brown. He started it, and then after that, kind of just trickles down, and we're all just following in line.
Is this a group where that kind of comes easily?
I would say so. I say we are a very close-knit group, especially offense, defense, even special teams. Like we're all for one, all for all, and I think we're very close. And I think that's what helps us and will help us down the road.
Okay, anything else for Nick?